All right, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, whenever it is you tune in. Hope all is going well with you. This is Noah. The faceless profile next to me is not Trey, but it is Vlad. So say hello.
How's it going, everybody?
There we go. We might see Trey again. This might be an ongoing thing because, of course, we're going to have continuity problems with the two of us. But we got someone else to join in the conversation as long as you guys. So waiting for everyone else to tune in, hop in, strap yourselves in. Probably gonna be here for an hour, like last time. But we still got a good amount of talking to do, especially with each and one of you guys. One of them including Eric Mack. So glad to have you guys joining us. Who else is here? Show of hands, show of whatever, show of comments, whatever you want to put down. Let's take a look at who's here. Ooh. All right. So the thumbnail, the Jared Bernhardt Hail Mary, I guess you can say, to win the game in Detroit with Ritter at the quarterback. That was the last time we were in Detroit, guys.
Could history repeat itself?
Could Ritter get his first win on the road? Because he's got a 4-game win streak right now, protecting the Bens.
The first thing I definitely look at with this Detroit Lions game is I look at the injury report, and I think one of the biggest things that's really gonna hamper the Lions this game is the lack of David Montgomery. Because when you look at Jameer Gibbs, he hasn't had the best start so far. I think he's been averaging like 2.4 yards a carry currently. So I think the lack of the run game right there, and like me and Noah were talking about off air, that so far the Atlanta Falcons defense has been shockingly good. They've been in a top 10 in every category other than run support. There were 22 there. So I'm thinking maybe the lack of having David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs getting off to such a slow start, if we could actually correct the run defense on this team and kind of catch it up with the rest of the defense, because this defense has been kind of like been really nice comparison to like what it normally is. They elevated Timmy Horn, so I'm thinking it seems like to me they see that the run defense has been kind of lackluster at best. So I'm wondering if they're actually bringing him up to kind of help bolster that a little bit, help the run defense catch up with the pass defense and et cetera. So that's definitely one thing that kind of sticks out to me as a first take when I look at this Lions game, is the lack of Montgomery. What about you, Noah?
Yeah. If I look at the injury report, obviously losing C.J. Gardner Johnson is a huge loss for them in the secondary, which means that Brian Branch, Ario Loki, it looked pretty good in the first game, especially with that pick six. He made me feel really smart about keeping him around when I was doing that elimination for all those other first-round rookie prospects. Someone else that did not make me look good is Bijan. Eliminated him pretty early, and thinking back, yeah, I was wrong, but I am so glad that Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot saw me and everyone else be wrong and was like, nope, we're going to correct this ship, and then made them pretty much forced them to select Jameer Gibbs that early.
Exactly.
So it's like just one thing leads to another, and then here we are facing each other. Big Ant, nice to have you here. Who else is here? Show of
How's
hands.
it going?
Once again.
The thing about the Bijan pick, though, because I remember before the draft, my guy was Paris Johnson Jr. That's who because I honestly I thought that the Bijan selection was going to be way sooner than we picked. I thought it was going to be more of a Saquon Barkley or an Ezekiel Elliott kind of pick where he went like second or fourth or fifth or somewhere like way before we pick. It definitely shocked me when Jalen Carter was still on the board. But when I saw that Bijan was still on the board too, I knew it was probably going to be him just because everything I was reading about the off the field issues just kind of seemed like they were kind of weary of Carter, which grant you he's been smashing it up there in Philadelphia, like he's been a beast, which doesn't shock anybody. But you can't really be mad with the Bijan pick, honestly, because I like that toss play on the 4th and inches in Green Bay, like I was telling Noah off air. I think that's if you looked at any play so far this year to illustrate why they drafted Bijan, I would look at that play because I think as much as I love Tyler Algier, I don't think he makes that toss play, honestly.
Yeah, we were just talking about. You said he was like the highest graded rookie running back out of 2 games.
He has an 89.0 rushing grade. It says 89.0 rushing grade. Robinson has picked up in the first 2 weeks is the highest score a rookie running back has ever achieved with a minimum of 15 rushing attempts. So, PFF, I know people, or, whatever about PFF, but, this goes back to 2006, like Noah was saying off air. And, this is, taking in Peterson. This is Derrick Henry. This is Nick Chubb. This is Saquon Barkley. This is Christian McCaffrey. This is all taking all these extremely good running backs.
Now that you mentioned Nick Chubb, though, sorry to cut you off, but it's like the fact that what we saw was only a torn MCL. Big shout out to you and whoever else is helping him with the surgery, with his recovery, because that almost looked career ending. So
that was hard to watch.
Exactly. So it's a 6 to 8 month recovery period. I hope that we get to see you on the field again. Like everyone else was mentioning, the league looks worse without you. All right. I get that you're on the Browns, but you've made the Browns such an amazing team to watch. One of the best players in the league. So to have you off the field like this due to this kind of injury, it's terrible. We wish you the best, especially as like a Georgia native too. Like having that same kind of injury back in college with the same leg too. It's like, man,
that hurts. That Brown team came a long way since they drafted Chubb, and he was a major part of that. But
so yeah, we have a lot of running backs to go through in that period of time. Now, yeah, over the years they've kind of dwindled down to where like it's much easier to spot a guy like Bijan in order to have that kind of decision to draft him high and then like start him right away in order to have that kind of immediate success. Some of these other guys, like, yeah, they're gonna like, oh, we're gonna feature him in here and there, and that's kind of what Jahmyr Gibbs has been for the Lions. I think back to that play in Kansas City where it was like a 1st and 19 or like a 2nd and 19 or whatever, just picked it up and then got a couple more off of like a half spin as he was breaking out of a tackle. It was nasty, but we never saw him again. It was all Montgomery after that. So like he can make a big play, but if he doesn't have that support of Montgomery, then I don't know like how much of a load they're going to throw on him.
Which will definitely getting this kind of segues into the Falcons injury report where they showed Jeff Okudah back at practice today, and if the Falcons are going to keep them more one-dimensional because of the lack of Montgomery, having Jeff Okudah will be massive for this game because then it'll limit their throwing attack too. So on paper, this potentially could be like very like in the Falcons' favor because now you have your number 2 cornerback and then AJ Terrell. He's been killing it all year. He's back to form. Like I think Ryan Nielsen's defense is like tailor made for him, honestly.
Did I see something saying that he hasn't a lot of catch yet?
It's like 23
maybe like one-on-one.
It's like a 23 passer rating when they target him. It's nuts.
Yeah, that just for comparison, that's worse than just throwing it on the ground every single play.
Yeah, they could literally just spike the ball every time, and it would be a higher passing grade. Like
So though
he's
he doesn't
been
have any interceptions, like he has plays where you throw to him and like everyone knows that was a bad decision. Like
like our
that's how you have to be.
like a lot of people like they'll see like the Jesse Bates interception is don't get it twisted when I say this. Like he's been lights out himself, but it's like the rest of that back end has been crazy. Like Richie Grant's even been bringing it. Uh, and like I was saying, if we get Akuda back and he can just be like a glimmer of what he was coming out of college, like we could have a top 5 secondary like easily. Like we're like number 8
Yeah.
right now, so it's not as
Or you
far a
can just,
stretch.
kind of pick up where he was in Detroit before, the injury.
I
Like I think he was doing
Yeah,
pretty good over there, but it was just like a money issue and it was just like, all right, well, I don't think we've seen the growth right away, so we're just going to give you a new start over somewhere else.
I
So
think it
now
was.
we
It
get a
definitely
top 3
was.
pick for just a 5th round pick, and it's like, all right, cool. That's a free like starting corner basically
You kind of feel
because
bad.
he's such an upgrade from what Trey Flowers was.
Oh yeah. You kind of feel bad for the guy though, because if you look at his career in Detroit, like he couldn't stay healthy, and like you really feel bad for players that that finally get to this level only to like just to be injured constantly. But when he was on the field, like Noah was saying, I mean he was pretty dang good. So it's like this, like I said, this the secondary. Don't be shocked if it goes from ranked 8 to like top 5, because Ryan Nielsen, he's been kind of a revelation on this defense. Like his scheme and like how he kind of positions players to kind of succeed is it's just otherworldly compared to what we have been. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the jump we made on the offensive line. We went from like one of the worst in the league to like top 3. You know, like this could be very well be, once we get another, that quote unquote alpha pass rusher in here, this could be a top 5 defensive unit all the way around, because contain kind of seems to be one of the big issues right now, especially on that weak side line, weak side. If we can basically get that wrapped up, because they're not running on us on the inside, but if we can get the perimeters contained a little bit better, I mean this run defense will definitely catch up with the rest of it. So I'm just kind of
I do
waiting
think
to see.
having Trey Anderson back, I think he's been cleared to play, right?
I don't know. I think he was
I don't think
questionable.
anyone's been cleared. I don't think anyone's been declared out. I think it was just like
Yeah,
questionable for like CP.
it was
Um,
CP and Akuda
I
were
think it's a game
questionable.
time decision for Okuda. I don't
Yeah,
know about Anderson yet.
yeah. I'm looking at the injury report right now, and it doesn't say much about the about Anderson or and then Bud Dupree. He was out for 1 day with an illness, so I think he's good to go. So the only real
Oh
questions
boy.
here are Akuda, Cordell, and Troy Anderson. But I mean,
Which is still like really good in comparison to everyone else in the league.
oh yeah, goodness, what was his name? He actually played for Anderson in the Green Bay game. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh,
Um,
Nate Landman.
yeah, he actually smashed pretty good in this last game. Like he was really
Oh yeah.
good. Um, it kind of made you feel better about this linebacker depth, because that was kind of one of the shakier positions when you kind of looked at the depth. Like you had a bunch of unproven guys behind Anderson and Ellis. So to see him kind of step up and really like take a hold of that position, like it makes you feel a lot better about that position. Um, the Honestly, like I said, the only real position on this defense right now that I think that could really use a real upgrade would probably be that like weak side. I mean, because Campbell, had a kind of a shaky like first game. He missed 2 tackles, but like he didn't do it. He didn't miss any of this last game. Like he was holding it down out there.
Well, I would say that that Jordan Love scramble. I think he was kind of like beating himself up because he just didn't have the speed in order to get the contain off him.
I mean, but Jordan Love's a lot quicker than people think too. So
Yeah, so like I can't really like fault him for that. Him being like 37,000 years old and all. So
hey, man's still playing at a high level.
exactly, we're still waiting for that 100 sack. Just
Oh
saying,
man, I'm gonna be pumped
can't
for
wait
him
for him to get it.
when he finally gets that. But Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, dude. Like, if we can finally get this pass rush completely solidified, like this will be because Anyamata in this Green Bay game. Oh my goodness, he was crazy. He's playing out of his mind. I think it was like a 92 grade in this last game or a 90 or something like that. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And then like I said, then Terrell on the back end, he was doing his thing, and then Jesse Bates was doing Jesse Bates things. So I was so pumped when we got him in the offseason. That was my number one guy. Like I wanted him so much, and people that I never heard anybody ever say he was a bad player, but people that might have been questioning it over somebody up front, these first two games kind of really illustrate just how like vital a good free, especially a safety of his caliber, could really set your back end up because it allows the rest of your players to kind of play more shallow towards the box because you have that that elite guy on the back end. So he's been playing nice too. What's up, Trey?
Well, look who finally decided to show up.
What's going on, man? It's been a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a little bit.
What's going on, Vlad?
How you been?
Doing great, man. Trying to get back to my good old high school sports days. Trying to get cleared. Watching my Falcons. Same old, same old.
Good deal.
Sounds like you're just waking up.
I've kind of had a long day today. Went on a little, I guess you can say, game date. Took my girlfriend to my little brother's game and had a.
That's what's up, dude.
So.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, most definitely. It's always fun with her.
Heck yeah, there you go.
All right.
We were just sitting there chopping it up about the Green Bay game.
I love that game. Had one of my friends come over Sunday to watch it with me. I think the last time we went to a game was the Bucks game that ended the season last year. So we kind of been waiting for this. We were supposed to be going to the Panthers game. Of course, that didn't work out. So it was like, you know what? Just gonna watch this game today, and then when we play the Texans, and we know we're most likely gonna win, just gonna go to that game. It's like a easy dub.
People don't realize if we could start off 3-0, like this will be massive for this team. Because then we got the Texans, and then we have
The
Commanders.
Yeah.
No, I'm not taking them. I'm not gonna take them lightly because they are 2-0 in that defense. Well, the offense has been doing something. That defense has been.
Yeah, I was just talking about Sam Howell before we started, and because I posed this question, and I'm going to pose it now since everyone's here. All right, not counting last season, not counting the future, not counting anything else, right? 2 games in the NFL. Who's been the best quarterback?
So now the surprising thing is you probably would think it was like Patrick Mahomes.
Trey, shut up. Shut up, Trey. Shut up. Ain't nobody asked you to come in here talking about your girlfriend. There's no girlfriends in football unless she's a Falcon fan, all right? Hush it. What's up, Vlad? What's up, Noah? How you guys doing?
Mike, it's my first day back in like 2 months. And she's a Falcon fan.
Yeah, you get the same treatment everybody else. The hell with Noah and the hell with Vlad, too.
How you doing, Mike? That's just how Mike says hello.
Hey, see, at least you know.
Oh man.
Well, at least we finally filled up the panel. It's still just my face, but we're gonna roll with it.
Man. But
so anyways,
I'm watching Georgia, so
oh, dude, I got the game on too. Anyways,
everyone else in the chat too. 2 games in this league. Who's been the best quarterback? Trey, you were saying something about Mahomes.
So, like I said, you probably think it would be a guy like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. But to be honest, all 3 of those guys have kind of struggled, especially Mahomes. Dude only had, a touchdown and like 70-some yards last week against the Jaguars. Now, I guarantee the Jaguars do have a good defense or a growing defense that's still kind of underwhelming for a dude that had all his weapons out there. Joe Burrow has looked pitiful, to say the least.
I think he's been hurt too, which doesn't help his case.
I think they're trying to rush him back too soon because You could just tell when he drops back, like something. It like he doesn't look the same as usual. So I can't really blame all of it on him. Plus his O line is just.
Yeah, I was just having to go through the list. I was like, you might be glad to hear this because my answer was
I think
reluctantly
I think
Tua.
no one. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think
Oh
no
yeah,
one nailed it.
yeah, most
I
definitely.
think these last 2 games, I think it's been Tua so far, which is really surprising, but also kind of not. Like I mean,
I
everyone else, like you said, it's like you just roll down the list. It's like
I mean,
Josh Allen, what the heck happened in Week 1? Joe Burrow, what the heck happened to you in total? Justin Herbert, you're dealing with the same kind of problems you've always been dealing with. Mahomes will get there, but as of right now, you're not there yet. Jared Goff could be in the conversation. It's just a matter of, can they capitalize on, our lack of area, on our small lack of. I mean, we just got too tough of a pass defense for him to really shine and take that mantle. Geno Smith, again, what the heck was that first game? Speaking of their opponent, Matthew Stafford, I think he's creeping up again, but I don't know yet.
I
Uh,
think I think
Brock
Tyreek Hill's.
Purdy, the last thing was
Yep.
like, is this you? That's my only question.
Oh, how did I phrase it off camera? Noah, is it a is he actually
Is
legit
it a
or is it
Stetson
a
Bennett situation?
is it a Stetson Bennett situation or is he
Oh,
legit?
not gonna lie, Brock Purdy is like a plus game manager. Like you can just tell, like he doesn't do too much, but he also doesn't sell you the game. And I guess you could
he's
call it.
doing nothing. He's doing nothing. He's
Yeah,
checking the ball down. He's throwing to the right receiver. That's pretty much what a quarterback is supposed to do. The
What
thing with Brock Purdy is that he does exactly what he's told, and he doesn't go out. That's a good quality for a quarterback, a head coach like Kyle Shanahan. He doesn't want his quarterbacks to be heroes. He doesn't want his quarterback to make plays. Those guys just do what he's told. And until I see Brock Purdy single handedly win a game by himself, like he's going to be an average quarterback. He just does what he's told. Is that a good quality? I mean, like I said, it depends on the head coach. But like it's going to come a time where Brock Purdy has to make big time throws. They're going to be down, and that's the thing with San Francisco 49ers. These teams, they're always in every game because a lot like the Atlanta Falcons. They run the ball. They don't put themselves in the bind. And until I see Brock Purdy, I'm going to say that he's an average quarterback. He has to prove that he's a good quarterback. He's yet to do that.
it'll be one game this year. I don't know when or against who. It might even be against the Rams again whenever they play them again. But it's going to be one game to where they get in a shootout and they can't depend on the run to be their number one thing, and he's going to just have to show off his arm. Same thing Desmond Ritter's going to do.
Yeah,
Desmond's going to have to get it. He's going to be in one of those games. Shoot, it might even be
Brock
this
Purdy
week.
is disgusting. What the fuck, man? My bad.
yeah. These drops are killing me. But well, that's the thing I was talking about with Noah off camera a minute ago that the Brock Purdy, yeah, is kind of like the definition of like a game manager, and like him being on the 49ers is kind of like one of the best situations for him because that team is pretty stacked right now. So like all he has to do is just kind of fill that little bit of a game manager role. But like I was telling Noah too, if you're looking at speaking of Ritter, if you looked at Ritter in the fourth quarter, just if you took just the fourth quarter, he's like ranked 3 right now in the NFL as far as quarterbacks go. Like he's been lights out in the fourth quarter. And like I told Noah, like man, they could have the first 3 quarters if he can clutch it out of the fourth. The first 3 quarters don't even matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And his first example of that was against the Lions.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Man, I'd rather it be like that than him selling in the fourth quarter. Like Jordan Love, Jesus Christ. Jordan Love was pitiful last week. I think his stat lines and the way, like, if you just look at his stats, he'd be like, oh, yeah, he had a decent game. He literally scored, I think, 14 points off of like 80 yards combined off of flags that we had.
Yeah,
Other
Right.
than that, he scored like a decent 10 of those 24 points. So really, that game should have been 25-10. Yeah, the Trey Flowers and pass interference. I should have been an interception. Dude just turns his head. I've said that plenty of times.
That Bauer reception just then was just nasty.
Yeah. And then
I don't mean to cut you off, dude.
what was the other flag that got them down? It was like no, and then it was another drive where we had like 2 or 3 flags. I think it was a holding call on Taquan Graham when D.
It was
offered.
AJ. It was AJ.
Yeah,
that
it was
flagged
AJ.
that.
Yeah, that was like when you think of like 3 touchdowns. No, one of his touchdowns was a pop pass. So if you really say we can say 2 touchdowns, and the other one he got off of a flag. So like I said, the score is a score. You get down there any way you can, but to be honest, Jordan Love has been kind of overrated these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, here's the thing though, is that they had like 4 different. I think they had 4 straight possessions where they ended up with a score, right? And then from that point on, I can count with 2 hands the amount of yards that they had in the fourth quarter. I shouldn't be able to do that if you're that good of a quarterback.
Right,
you have to be able to close the game.
Well,
just get 1 first down. I'm not asking for a whole lot. Get 1.
They didn't allow a single pass.
I understand that your decision to go for the quarterback sneak, right, and try to catch them off guard because we had 2 attempts that were already shoved previously, one from Bryce Young.
That play killed me.
But it was just
like what? I'm looking at the play like
what was wrong?
He's looking at you like, why didn't you snap the ball? You're like, no, man. Like what? Like the whole offense, like looking at him, like, what are you doing? Like, we're trying to draw them off sides, not look like complete idiots. And then if you think about it, 11 of those fourth quarter yards came off of AJ Dillon when he had that one drive where they just ran the ball 3 straight times.
Yep.
And he tripped on his own. To be honest, I don't know what he tripped on. It might have been turf toe. I don't know what he tripped on when you like actually look at it. But hey, trip on air again. I don't care as long as you don't get the first down. But yeah, that. What was the pass that he completed that was for unless all of those rush yards? I mean, all of those 11 came off of rush yards. I don't think he completed a pass in those last 3 drives.
I think it was something in the flat, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think it was
like the 1 yard.
Yeah, like 1 or 2. Oh yeah, that's when AJ made that. Yeah, it was like a little flat run to his tight end.
Yeah, that's another thing about it. I was talking to Noah before the show started. Like AJ this year, like in this system this man's been shut down this year. Like he is back to his like Pro Bowl form. Like it wouldn't surprise me.
That's because he gets to be himself. He gets to be a press man corner, having to worry about anything in the back end or the other side. He can just worry about him.
It's like a 23 passer rating is what he's allowed this year so far. He's been playing out of his mind.
That's the beauty of having a guy like Jesse Bates who has range. You can put Jesse Bates in the middle of the field and he can go sideline to sideline.
Dude, I was so excited when we actually signed him because that was my dude. I wanted the main guy I wanted in the offseason. When I found out that the Bengals weren't going to re-sign him, I'm just like, please let him be down in Atlanta. And a lot of people, they definitely, if they weren't actually like familiar with him, they definitely are now. And, they definitely see why, a lot of us were wanting him down here in Atlanta because that man's lights out.
First, it started off with Daron Payne. And then I think you came on with that one live. It was like, everybody wants Daron Payne, but how about we get Def at the position and then go get a guy like Jesse Bates? I'm thinking like, wow, like maybe that would be kind of a good idea. You get Def on the front line and then get a D1 safety back there and see what happens. We'll see how that worked out the first 2 weeks.
That's the thing, right? It's kind of like, you can get when I found out we were actually bringing over Ryan Nielsen, it was one of them situations where, okay, he's going to want to bring some people from New Orleans. So I sat and I was really looking at it and, it wasn't kind of shocking when you really kind of looked and seen exactly who he brought over because David Onyemata, which he played out of his mind this Green Bay game. It was like a 90.2 like grade he came out with. Then you got Hayden Ellis, which has been a pretty good, and you can kind of mimic what they were doing in New Orleans for a little bit. There was kind of manufacturing pressure with Ellis and stuff like that. But if if the middle of your field's kind of empty, because we didn't really have that guy that could go from sideline to sideline, but having that, it will buy your pass rush more time to kind of get home. And having a guy on the back end, especially like a Jesse Bates kind of caliber, it definitely will open up plays that potentially wasn't there, like the Carolina game. Like I don't think Hawkins or Grant makes those interceptions personally. Like just the amount of game changing he just provides is just otherworldly.
I don't think Jalen even gets that forced fumble, to be honest. Jalen was just – he was like a – what was Jalen? Jalen was just an opportunist, to be honest. He was like another Devontae KZ, except he actually came up and hit. It's just like,
Yeah, he's really good depth, but you definitely don't want him starting all season for you.
Yeah. Maybe if somebody gets injured, then you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, now we got to put him in. But, I kind of like the end of the game where Ryan Nielsen had him and Jesse Bates up top, and then they put Richie in the box. I was like, oh, okay, I'm messing with that. I'm like, that's a nice dog package that I'm messing with. I was like, okay, then, like we seeing some new stuff because I don't think we ever really seen that last year.
Well, that was the thing about Ryan Nielsen's defense is because having Bates over the top, it allows you to drop like Richie more towards the box, and it lets you manufacture a four man rushing defense with Grant, because you're rushing four, but you're able to keep your strong safety from further down into the box, which kind of helps give that run support. And like I was telling Noah right now, like that kind of seems to be really like our only real big Achilles heel right now is our run stuffing ability. Because right now, when you look at the stats, we're ranked top 10 in pretty much every other like defensive statistical category, and it's been kind of a revelation, almost the same kind of revelation we had with the offensive line, where they went from being like one of the bottom of the league to like extremely good. It seems to kind of be the same thing happening this year on the defense. They elevated Timmy Horn, so I'm thinking that they may actually see the lacking of the run defense. So having a guy like Timmy Horn on the line should definitely help alleviate a little bit of that. But the edges is where I'm normally seeing, like the perimeter is where I'm kind of seeing where the big issue is with our run defense. Like if we can kind of figure that out, because not really a lot of teams doing a lot up the middle on us. Seems to get it out to the sides and then getting down the side of the field. But if we can figure the run defense out, like this defense will be like, it's already pretty legit, but it'll be legit.
I think another thing that can help us out is just our time of possession on offense. Like, yeah, we can have a big lead, but that doesn't negate any team from just like having that casual run here and there to try to keep us honest on both sides. Like, what was the numbers? Like 37 minutes in time of possession for us in the Green Bay game?
I think it was like 36. It was 36-24 to 24 something seconds. I think most of those minutes came out of that third quarter because we had the ball for 11 or 12 out of the 15 minutes out of that third quarter.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, you factor that in.
Yeah.
To just us capitalizing on opportunities in the second half, and then just realizing that apparently we don't even give up yards in the fourth quarter, like let alone points. Like we've stopped giving up points in the fourth quarter since last year. If you really think about it,
this fourth quarter defense is one of the best in the league right now.
That's been a staple in his on his team ever since Dean Pease kind of became defensive coordinator. But that's the thing about Arthur Smith is that a lot of people don't know that he began on the defensive side of the ball. He learned under Jerry Gray. So this is something that he's very aware, and a lot of people just like, why did he run the ball? He's thinking about the defense. He's thinking about balance. He's thinking about how his team is built a certain way. So he has a kind of like a defensive personality and just a scheme. A lot like in boxing with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd is not offensively gifted. What makes him such a great guy is you can't touch him. You can't get a good shot on him. And that's the same with the Atlanta Falcons. You're never going to be able to get a good shot on Kyle Pitts. You're never going to get a good shot on Desmond Ridder. Why? Because they have tight ends, they have wide receivers, they have offensive line that they can depend on. And now you have a defense. The defense can get off the field now. So you're never going to get a good gauge. And that's what Calais Campbell was talking about. You can't get a gauge on what the Atlanta Falcons are going to do from game to game because Kyle Pitts may be the guy. Today, the first game, it was a combination of Tyler Algier. He set the tone in the first game. The second game is Bijan Robinson. So game to game, you're never going to be able to get a hold on what the Atlanta Falcons are about. And I know for fantasy football owners, if you don't have Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier, it's going to frustrate the heck out.
I got Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier.
Oh yeah,
You smart, Noah. You smart, dog.
but
it's the sad fact that the first week of the season he had Tyler on his bench, and you dropped like 22, 23 points that week, and Bijan only had like 9, 10. I was like, you know what?
I think it was still like 12. I mean, it was a respectable number. And I have Algier in the other league that we're not in for AFN. I have Cordero Patterson in the AFN league, I'm still waiting on him.
But getting back to what Mike was saying just a second ago, as far as how the team's constructed, that's the beautiful thing about how Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot set this team up, is because if a team we're going against is, got really good, pass defense, but their run's lacking, we're going to run it on them. If they got a really good run stuff and, we can kill them in the air, it's like, and then it's like, okay, well, if they think we're going to go to Bijan all game, we can hit, Drake all game or Kyle Pitts all game. You always keep your opponent guessing. They don't ever know exactly what you're going to do because you have so many weapons now that like it's kind of hard to kind of really zone in on what this team's actually going to do, and that's like extremely valuable, especially to a head coach and a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, the whole team, honestly.
Another thing to consider though is that even when you know what we're going to do, you can't stop it.
Sometimes it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like we'll run outside zone. All right, that's like half our offensive playbook right then and there. I don't care to release that information because you don't have the people to stop it because you've been too busy building your team around pass defenses or passing offenses. You've been too structured to stop the pass that it's really baffling how a lot of teams will still give up a ton of yards.
Well, that's
all
the thing
you've
too.
done is try to like establish like stopping everything you can, like adding pass rushers, adding corners, adding all this other stuff in order to try to have your concepts to beat certain coverages. And now you get to a team like us where we're just built different from everyone else. And it's like, all right, well, here, stop this outside zone. Oh, you can't do it? Oh, you just don't have that power? You're not having that depth? You can't, like, hang with us? And all right, that's fine. We'll just keep doing it then.
That's the thing, right? All these teams have been conditioned the last decade to get these light linebackers that are good at covering, blah blah. And then you get a team like Atlanta that's coming out and going back to more of an old school thumper kind of play style, and they just don't have the personnel, especially up front, to stop this run right now. Because it's just
I thought Green Bay would have had the guys to do it. Clearly not. As 211 yards later,
Because think about it too. This is why I'm kind of grateful that we have Jeff and AJ. Because Jeff and AJ, they may look like slim corners, but they're big compared to a lot of corners in the league. I think AJ's 6'1", Jeff's 6'1.5". But neither one of them are afraid to come up and stick their nose in the run. I think AJ's proved that for the last 2 weeks, and really since he's been in the league.
Kind of surprised that Flowers is playing as well as I thought. Obviously, he needs help as far as the coverage is concerned, but he's physical at the point. He can tackle well, and especially in the short intermediate routes, he's very good. And what rangy safety that we have in Richie Grant and Bates, it allows him to be a little less, a lot more hectic and take chances on the deep ball. The thing with him, I just need him to turn his freaking head around. He'll be a lot better if he just learned to turn his head head around. But the corners
I
are
think I
the
think it's
corners are playing
because
amazing.
I think it's because he's watching AJ Terrell, and it's like it's so easy for him. Like that fade pass to Wicks in the end zone didn't have to turn his head around to know like, hey, this is where I have to put my hand. This is where I have to swat the ball because he's focusing on the eyes, and that's like one of the tells as a receiver
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
you have to wait as long as possible in order to let the defender know that you're about to catch this pass. That's actually something that I remember Gronk of all people teaching, telling other people. It's like, hey, stick your hands out really late. A lot of the good receivers, like I've seen AJ Green do it a lot too. Like he will wait until the last second in order to have his hands out in order to catch that pass. That way, you don't have a tell as a defender to know, like, hey, this is where the ball is. This is who he's targeting. And when you get to a point where you're so confident to stop it without even having to look around, like, yeah, you're special.
Yeah,
Trey
you don't
Flowers,
want to give
you'll get there. But for right now, just work on your fundamentals.
you don't want to give the defender or the receiver or whoever enough time to adjust. So it makes complete sense. But yeah, like Trey Flowers, he'll definitely get to that point. It's just that's the whole getting snaps. Like the more snaps he gets, the more he'll start to understand that.
So I think the thing with Trey Flowers is he's so physical that I think sometimes he kind of gets a little ahead of himself, tries to be a little bit too physical. And like I said, like Mike said, he's like better than I expect. I wasn't expecting him to at least be this decent as a cornerback too. I thought they would put Clark over there just because he played outside corner, but this is why we're not getting paid millions and millions of dollars to be defensive coordinators because got to go to practice every day and watch these guys and watch their film and then see what you can do. But I think the only thing that frustrates me is when we're like he's playing like 9 yards off and the team just runs like a quick out and then he's like late to the tackle. So now 4 or 5 yard gain, if even a catch, if you were pressing or at least 4 yards in, is like 9, maybe 10. So other than that, if he can get a little bit better at that, I'd be cool with it. But like I said, I think Jeff's playing tomorrow. I don't think you have a dude play 4 straight full practices and then sit him. Cordell, I don't know yet. We'll see. I need our Joker back.
I do like this matchup here, Flowers.
That's what
just
the
kind of like
Bengals
kicking him
used
inside.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
He's like a bigger Isaiah Oliver.
Yeah, he's normally really good.
I'm not mad at that.
Titans.
Speaking of which, we have matchups that we like going into this game. I kind of want to do like a strength versus strength, right? Because the Lions have a good passing attack, despite the loss of. I don't know if it's a loss yet, but we'll have to see about what Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like going into this game.
I don't
think it's going to matter because they have guys like Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds that had sneaky 2 touchdowns in that game. Sam Laporta in the middle of the field as a tight end for them. And then, of course, like Jahmyr Gibbs as a receiving back out of the backfield too. I like their distribution. So that going up against the second best pass defense in the league, yes, I'm referring to us when I say that and
it's
not another team. I just want to figure out how we're going to deal with this, especially when it comes to getting pass rush.
I think the thing that a lot of people are underestimating is the last 2 weeks the Lions haven't really faced a real true corner. They were going to face one last week against Tariq Woolen. He got injured in I think like the second quarter. There's really no real corners like man-to-man press coverage corners on the Chiefs. It's just their front 7 is kind of it's
well, I mean, he had
good.
Snead, right?
He's a slot corner. If we're being, he's a slot corner, and he didn't really match up on Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra is a slot receiver.
He plays. See, the thing I don't like about how they use L'Jarius Sneed is that they don't put him in a lot of man situations, and if they do, it's like he's playing like 5 yards off.
Yeah.
But he's one of the fastest corners in the league. So it's like, why are you using him 5 yards off?
Exactly.
And he's like literally a top 5, top 10 fastest corner in the league. It's like, but like I said, hey, the rest that front seven, like I said, is pretty good. So it kind of bails them out a lot.
The main matchup, it's kind of probably the most obvious one, is Hutchin versus McGarry. Like, how is he going to deal with him?
I hope it's not like Brian Burns 2.0. But that being said, who did the Seahawks have a tackle last game?
Who did the what now?
Who did the Seahawks start at tackle last week?
Some like 6th round pick.
I have no idea, dude.
Stone Forsyth.
Really?
Of course, I know that. By the way, yeah.
Who the
Backup
hell
tackle.
is Stone Forsyth? That's his name?
Yep, I'm making it up. It's not a Madden created player.
You have to fill us in a little bit on this, dude.
So, I mean, Trey is pretty much exactly right. He was a late round pick, 6th rounder, 7th rounder, came in the league. I was wanting to talk about him as like a late round draft pick, like a year and a half ago.
Like a priority free agent, maybe 7th, 6th round.
I think he deserved to be drafted because he showed class. It was just his frame was like, it was really tall. He was really lengthy. He just didn't have the weight that I wanted. I think he was like 6'7", but like 300 pounds. I just don't know if he like distributed his weight all that properly. But given that, he needed experience as well. And for him to go up against Aiden Hutchinson, and both sides, like both the left tackle and the right tackle, were out, right? They didn't have Charles Cross. They didn't have Abraham Lucas. And yet, out of their 2 backup tackles, 7 pressures allowed, 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, and yes, Aiden Hutchinson was still playing.
Really? Huh.
Now, I will say, he did get held on that last throw with Geno to Tyler Lockett. They just didn't really call it because it's the Lions. However, can we say that McGarry has kind of learned his lesson, like taking his lumps week 1 and Brian Burns? He didn't have to go up against that kind of speed threat last week. It was more of a power versus power. And of course, McGarry's going to beat you in power. It was just a matter of like getting his kip up to kind of match that speed. Brian Burns had an acceleration that very few people have.
I look at McGarry.
He can get there. He's got some moves to him as well. But I think that we've all collectively learned that lesson from week 1. It's like, all right, we have to figure out how to adjust this because we're not only going to go up against him again, we're going to go up against other similar players like him that'll have that burst, that'll look this good against us. And I'm looking at you, Commanders, because my goodness.
I kind of look at McGarry kind of like an 18-wheeler. It's like, he's got a ridiculous amount of power, but it takes him a little bit of time to get moved around a little bit. So like speed normally has always been kind of his Achilles heel there. I'm just kind of hoping that, the adjustments if speed does become an issue at some point in the season, like it did with Brian Burns, that the adjustments made before halftime. Because if you noticed, even when Brian Burns in the Panthers game after halftime, they started putting more tight end help towards McGarry's side over there, and it really helped him out. So, even if it becomes an issue, I don't think it'll be that big of an issue if they're willing to make the adjustments before halftime. Which, if you see that, you definitely want to start putting more help over to that side. But if it becomes like a power versus power match, I'm not too concerned with Hutchinson, but he will be a lot to handle. Like, he's a lot to handle for pretty much a lot of the linemen in the league. So it'll be kind of like, are they going to run into kind of like, blitzes, on his side? So McGarry is kind of like occupied. They didn't like blitz up that gap there, or like because you don't necessarily have to get like like exact penetration, but the fact that you're able to eat up so much attention with like a Hutchinson, it open up lanes for other players. So I'm kind of curious to see how the Lions kind of adjust to what the Falcons do with this line here that we have, because they know what we're gonna do, so like they're aware of what we're planning, and I'm kind of just wondering how they're going to maneuver around like what our game plan is, because it's no secret we're going to run the ball.
Right. I will say though that they are missing James Houston on the other side. Right. I think he's done for the year. I want to say. If not, he's going to be missing a while. I think it's like at least like 8 weeks.
Yeah, like 8 games. Yeah.
What happened to him?
Probably a leg injury. I didn't really check up on him. I just know that he was. What are you saying?
Sucks.
I think it's like I'm not sure. Maybe I think it's like a let me see for sure. Let me be sure about that. But I know he's out for about 5 to 8 games, somewhere in that range.
Got you.
Yeah, another matchup I'm going to like in terms of trenches and the power is I want to see if Levi Onwuzurike is playing for Detroit too.
Who in Jesus' name is that?
We talked about him last time.
We did.
Yeah, fractured ankle. He got a fractured ankle.
Oh, okay. Oh, the dude last name I can never pronounce right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about that one.
But I'm not concerned about that. Is there D tackles? I think we have this is going to see a heavy dose of Tyler Algier in this game, because I don't trust their D tackles, and I know our inside guys. Dalton has been an absolute pleasant surprise at center. Like, he's playing on a Pro Bowl level right now that no one's talking about. So I'm not necessarily concerned about. And no going strength against strength, but like I think this is one of those guys is about. Like, I think the Falcons have the up as far as the interior is concerned.
I was about to say, Mike, I was working my way back into that in the inside of that line there. I was about to bring him up too, because he has been lights out. Like, he's taken a massive step from what he was last year. Like, he's been holding it down there in the center. Like great.
He's making all the right reads with his head too.
See, that's the thing, right? Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, center that's a really hard position to play, and like he's not making these mental errors. Unless if you're
Jason Kelsey, and then you just think it's super easy.
Well, the man's an alien, but but yeah, like he's been a revelation at the center for us, like, because. And then, like I was saying, Matthew Bergeron, he's been really good for a rookie. And, Lindstrom is going to do Lindstrom things. We all know what he's about. And then, Jake Matthews has been steady Eddie there for, almost a decade at this point. So, it'll definitely be interesting to see how this trench play works out. I was telling Noah too that I think this is a game that the Falcons can really get their run defense back in line, because having Montgomery out, if you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, he's only been averaging like 2.4 yards a run. So he's not had like
17 carries too. I can see if it was like 3. He had like 17, 18 carries as soon as he got injured.
Exactly. So I'm thinking this might be a game we can really get that run defense back on track.
I think with Troy Anderson coming back too, it's kind of like, with the speed factor, you can't really say he's faster than any of the linebackers we have, because as we all know, Troy Anderson runs a 4.4. I think Caden Ellis runs like a high 4.4 or low 4.5.
Yeah, he's got a sneaky burst to him too.
Yeah,
so
he does.
he can't outrun any of these guys sideline to sideline. The only thing that I'm worried about is with the edge. We don't have a lot of speed on the edge, and I'm trying to figure out why D'Angelo Malone and Arnold Ebiketie aren't getting used more.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That's what I was talking about too. That containment on the edges there. That's been our Achilles heel in the run game, honestly.
Well, so far from what I've been able to tell is that they want to try to have a healthy rotation with I want to say maybe almost on a per drive basis. But if not, it's like by the downs. All right, so all right, well, we're gonna have this set of people on the line for this type of play for this down, and then we're gonna swap them out just so that everybody can kind of get up to speed, and then from there we'll just go with the like we said with the hot hand on in the ground game, like hey, who's playing up to snuff right now, and then we'll just kind of keep them out there. If not, then we'll just keep using the rotation method. So that's why we're going to have like a healthy dosage of both guys like Lorenzo Carter, but Dupree if he shows up from sickness, but then also Ebiketie on the other side too. So I like the depth, and I like how we're trying to use our depth, but it's just we're trying to get them involved just as is, and as of now, like they're getting close. As we saw, like when we had to clutch up on defense on that final drive for Green Bay, like those last like 3 or 4 throws, like we were hitting Jordan Love.
That's exactly what it's about. They want to use
It's
the
not
big
showing
body
up on the
early.
stat sheet,
Mm-hmm.
but by the time that we get to the end of the game and it's time for us to close this out, and like I said last week, this is the team that wants to close out the game using their defense. I'm just, hey, if we're going to keep saying it, it's going to keep ringing true. And it hasn't been a while since we've been able to say that.
Tire him out with thunder and lightning, and then sack him in the fourth.
That's exactly what the recipe has been. That's why you saw a heavy dose of Ebiketie in the fourth quarter. Like he was really hitting. And the interesting thing with that I saw also was a lot of Grady Jarrett on the edge. That was really unique and really strange. It had Ebiketie and Grady running a lot of stunts. And Grady, the thing too, I think that with the edge, I think that has a lot to do with how they use both Caden Ellis and Troy Anderson. And I think those guys are still trying to figure. Troy Anderson is still trying to figure out his role as far as his defense is concerned, because this is a completely different way that how Dean Pease was using him. Like what he's doing now, he's putting those guys in the A and B gaps, and sometimes these guys are stunt off of those gaps. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of teams, especially with AJ Dillon. He was kind of bursting. They were kind of running off of that left side of the Falcons defense with a lot of trap plays. They will the tight end would crash in, and it would crash the end, and you would see AJ go through the left side of the field. So, but that's due to the fact that the Falcons are using a lot of stunts with their middle linebackers. So, those are the types of things that you're going to see with this defense. You're going to see those types of runs because they use a lot of stunts in their defenses. So, like I said, it's frustrating because we're giving up a ton of yards on the ground. I think we're like 23rd in the run department, but the more that we continue to make plays, especially in the passing game, you're going to see a lot of games where the Falcons are giving up, no points in the second half, because we're going to physically just dominate a lot of teams. And once they get to the fourth quarter, you have nothing left.
Speaking of the linebacker, you're talking about Troy Anderson. He was out this Green Bay game, and like Nate Landman he stepped up big in this game. I think he graded out like an 83 in this game. Like he was pretty nasty in this game. So I was kind of like,
and like what you were talking about, like Nate Landman, he was here last year, trying to use the same method of like, hey, let's if Troy Anderson ain't there yet, let's use Nate Landman. So I like that.
He had 4
because
solo
just
tackles
remember, guys, I'm pretty sure that this is like year 3 that Troy Anderson has played the linebacker as a position, in the entirety. Like,
that's crazy.
Still new to the position as a whole, right? This guy was the offensive Taysom Hill, but just actually better, and now he's moving over to defense, where he can just use all that offensive capabilities he's seeing those tunnels, like seeing what the offense wants to do to certain looks, and then trying to match those run fits. I think he's done really well, despite like him still needing that experience. And the fact that he's gotten experience from not only Dean Pease, but then Ryan Nielsen, like this next year, that's going to pay off so good for us later on in, like in the next couple of seasons.
The way this linebacker, because that was one of the positions I was kind of shaky on at the beginning of the year, is like the depth at the linebacker position. But like just to be able to have a guy like Lamb behind you, and then Anderson and Ellis up front, like as your starters, like it makes you feel a lot better about this linebacking core. And like Noah was saying, like having the D coordinator come in, Ryan Nielsen come in, and then having a guy like Ellis that's used to that offense, or not the offense, but that defense, it's gonna pay like major dividends to like Anderson and Landman, and because you got a guy on the field that can show you from that perspective, and then you got your coach on the sideline that can show you from that perspective. So like I think this linebacking core, I kind of slept on a little bit as far as the depth went. And it really showed me that, we got some guys, not just up front, but on the back end too, that can step up and make plays happen.
And just overall communication, it looks really smooth.
Exactly. So, it's
So
like I said, this defense has been lights out this year so far compared to what it was.
one matchup that we're not sure of. What do you guys think that might be? Trey?
Um, you know, I was thinking if I mean we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but I was thinking it'd probably be Jeff Okuda versus whoever wide receiver he's matched up against. And whether that be Josh Reynolds or Khalif Raymond or I can't remember the other dude. But then again, he might get matched up with Amon because AJ doesn't travel. So you never know. But I'm kind of like I want to see how if he plays, I think it's a pretty good chance he plays. But if and when he plays, I just want to see how he comes out there those first couple of drives. Is he, kind of, I mean, of course he's going to be rusty. Everybody's kind of near full game shape. This is his first game back, so you don't expect him to just come out and be, back to shape and back in form all the way. But I just want to see how he comes out here and responds to what happened from the trade to him getting hurt in training camp to him having to miss the first two games. So that probably be my matchup that I like to see is how he responds to this Detroit defense. Because even though a lot of people don't want to say it, this offense is kind of scary. They do have ways to put up points, even if they don't have one of the best running backs or wide receiver tr- uh, trios. It's still a pretty good offense that with the offensive line that they have, even though they're missing two of them, which that too. Now that I think about it, this is probably the game for our D line to go off. This is like the game to show that you can actually get pressure on the quarterback. You're missing, I think, their right guard and their left guard and their right tackle. So,
Pina Su's not playing.
Or was it
I thought he
Taylor
was.
Decker?
Yeah, Taylor Decker. He's their right tackle. I
Okay,
think
was
they
it?
put. I think they put Bennett left tackle. I think.
I thought Decker was their left tackle.
Uh, well, I know he's out. They said him and the other guard was most definitely out.
Uh huh.
But yeah, this is probably the game that you either see a lot of blitzes or you see Ryan Nielsen tell his front four that we're gonna drop 7, 8 in the coverage. I just need y'all to dominate this O line and get pressure on Jared Goff. I'll take a
So
sack.
yeah, I would love that too, especially for Calais. What I would want to see though is zone coverage, Jeff Okuda in particular. I like him a lot in man, but it's just I don't know how we've been able to call our plays in terms of like the balance between or man and zone so far, and if that changes once we swap out Trey Flowers for Okuda.
That'll be kind of interesting. Yeah. Um, I think if Akuda does play this game, I think they'll kind of rotate him in to kind of get him back into the swing of things. I don't think they'll just throw him in there like throw him into the deep end. They'll kind of like give him some snaps and to kind of rotate him in Flowers and kind of see where it goes throughout the game, kind of get him back into the rotation of things. But yeah, I'm right there with Trey though. I'm wanting to see what this line can do against this Detroit Lions offensive line, because I mean they were ranked, I think it was third as of right now. I think it was like Philadelphia and then like the Browns were the only two lines ahead of them currently, and then it was them. So I'm really interested to see exactly what this pass rush can do against that line, and if Landman's out, not Landman, but goodness, uh, Decker's not playing. I mean, and then
Big V, that's who they call their guard.
yeah,
That's out.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Hal Vaitai.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got Jahan Jackson, or however you say his name, and then Pinay Sewell. I'm pretty sure it's on that right side.
Not to mention
So-
Ragnow at center.
Yeah, I mean Ragnar's a nasty center too. So,
I think would y'all say he's a top 5 center?
Yeah,
yeah, he'd probably number 3 or 4 for me right now. Probably 3, honestly. Like he's really really good. So I am actually kind of curious to see like that matchup in the middle between specifically that matchup in the middle between him and goodness I'm drawing a blank. We just signed him this
Onyemata?
offseason. Onyemata, thank you. I was drawing a blank. Onyemata, and kind of seeing like where that matchup goes. So like I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on the inside there to see what Onyemata and Grady does.
Shoot, even Calais, they had a couple of stunts where they kind of
Yeah,
switched him and Yamada, had them going from the outside to inside.
yeah. It'll be nice.
Also, another thing, the last matchup I'm looking for. Kyle Pitts fantasy owners, he may finally, and I mean finally, be pleased to think the Lions linebackers are not good in coverage. I don't know what's going on with them. That's like the one position they don't pay attention to.
yeah. Jerome over here was just mentioning Jack Campbell, and it's like, dude, is he going to be the next Darnell Savage, where it's like every single good play that we have, it's against him?
Yeah, because
you guys notice that? Like, ever since Darnell Savage was like talking crap in the first quarter, he was the poster boy for every other highlight that we had. The 3 cuts that Bijan had, Darnell Savage was the other one looking down like
Savage.
Right here, right against Savage. Like 4th and inches play. You need to make the tackle. Savage couldn't do it. Like, we were just making him an embarrassment. And he's such a good player for them.
I was gonna say he's good.
Jack
too.
Campbell, like bro.
Don't be surprised. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I don't think they're ready for our counter game. A lot of the Falcons run a lot of counter and trap plays. The unique counter and track play, the play, especially with Bijan in the game, especially with Bijan, and I don't think, especially with young linebackers, I don't think they'll be ready for it. The counter plays for the Atlanta Falcons. Like, yeah, we run a lot of power plays, inside zone running, but like when we're in our, as Noah said, we're in our bag and we run those outside schemes. It's hard. So I want to see how those young linebackers line up with our counter game, run game.
Here's the thing. They do practice against it because their own run game is like very versatile. So
and the thing is,
but you don't have a Chris Lindstrom and a Jake Matthews to go against.
Exactly.
Like Panay Noel,
you don't have a Bijan to try to.
You don't have a Bijan, right?
And the thing is, they don't use Bijan the same way. I mean, they don't use Bijan like we do, the same way they use Gibbs. I notice a lot of the time they don't really like Gibbs because of how small he is, and I love Jahmyr Gibbs because of what he did at Bama last year. But I'm being honest, Gibbs is how they might kill Gibbs the way Dirk Cutter killed Edo Smith.
That's a terrible pick. Anyway, I just have to say that was the dumbest draft pick. I like Gibbs, but that was so dumb.
It came off like they were it was a panic pick is what it was.
Because I'm guessing 3 of the players that they thought were going to be there got selected. Said like, oh crap, Well, like Jack Campbell's seen the same. Like I said, I love Jahmyr Gibbs, but he would have been available if not in the late first round, early second.
Yeah,
And
Jack
you
Ham. I
could have
was a big
traded.
fan of
I
his.
would have been okay if you traded back to let's say 24, 25, got an extra second round pick or a first next year, and then get Gibbs. Okay, I see that. You picked a second round running back in the top 12, and you're not even using him. He had 9 targets last week for 39 yards. The
Yep.
man was averaging 2.5 rushing
Oh
yards
my.
per attempt.
2.4.
That was in a shootout of a game too.
And that was in a shootout. Like
Exactly.
I can the
Wow.
run game. Okay, the run game I can't really see that. I can still see it, but I can't really see that. They've been talking about Gibbs all season long against this guy's cooking linebackers. He's going to be one great weapon in the pass game. And the first 2 games, you target him on option routes that literally linebackers are just expecting nowadays. Like they're not even if it's an out route, they're just gonna stay square, and then it's out. He'll jump on out. Oh, it's a Texas route. Oh yeah, we're just gonna sit right there and jump on. Like
Yep.
they literally run the same thing with him, and that's how the interception happened. The dude sees, he's getting ready to check him down. Let me lift my hand up because I know he's about to throw in my direction. Oh, balls in 22's hands. Oh, now it's back to the grip. Like
Yep.
like I said, like I love Jahmyr, but they might ruin this man's career how they're trying to use him, and I don't want that to happen. But it's just like you can't run him to the inside because he's too small. You try to do these sweep routes, but corners and linebackers are just too fast these days to try to just run a stretch play every play without somebody pulling or without your O line like we do, getting 3 to 4 yards, pushing a guy 3 to 4 yards down the field. So it's like you don't use them on pass game. You don't use no screens, no wheel routes. You don't put them in the slot. You don't motion them like we do with Bijan. He's not tough enough or big enough to go on the inside like Bijan is. And he's shifty. He's definitely shifty. But then again, your O line's weak right now. Like you're missing 2 of your starting offensive linemen to where you don't get that same push that you want. So it's like, what can you really do at this point? I don't expect him to do really much this week. He might catch a screen pass and take it like 10 to 15 yards, but other than that, I'm not really expecting Gibbs to do anything tomorrow that's gonna be like, dang, like we lost this game because of Gibbs, so and so. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. If we end up losing this game, it's gonna be either because we made too many mistakes on our own or something happened to where the pass defense was just shredded and
Yeah.
Khalif Raymond and Amara had a day. But I don't see that happening tomorrow.
Well, that's what I was saying
Yeah.
earlier, though.
If anything, it might be just like our lack of discipline in certain areas. Because I think we had like 6 penalties, but they were like over 100 yards.
It was
That's-
100.
We can't give them short fields. Yeah.
It was 100. Now see the AJ penalty, I'm gonna let that go because the dude saved the touchdown and they didn't even end up putting up 3 points on that drive. So I'm gonna let that go. But the hold now, someone said in the Discord, I think it was Rip that said the holding call they called on TQ was ticky tacky, and he barely even grabbed his jersey. He grabbed his jersey, but it wasn't like he stopped him from going anywhere. It was like as soon as he grabbed it, dude just walked right past and went to go block Caden Ellis. And the thing is, I can see if Caden Ellis made that play or Troy Anderson made that play, a nickel cornerback that was all the way to the outside made the play. So who was he holding that was supposed to go block D. Alford? I don't know. Of course, we've all talked about the Trey Flowers flag. I think we all understand how he might be with deep balls this season. I don't really remember any other defensive flag. I think they all came on offense with like 2 holdings and a false start.
The Trey Flowers flag looked like he panicked a little bit out there.
Yeah, he was panicking. I could tell because he was like, Romeo Dobbs looks back twice. And I think the first time he's like, oh, okay, he's just running down the field. Then he looks back, he's like, oh, shoot, the ball's coming. So let me try to smack the ball out of his hand. Little did he know Jordan Love gets hit. If he literally turns around and just opens his hands up, it's his first pick of the season.
Exactly.
But,
that was gift wrap for him too.
Yeah, like he Jordan was like, oh, just take it. Romeo's down there somewhere. Just take it.
That's an example of what Mike was saying earlier. He just get his head around better earlier.
That's the thing that AJ does a lot. If only he had hands. Well, AJ can turn his head around, but for the love of God, that man could not catch a cold. It's just he's had like I don't think he's had an interception since 2021. If I'm correct, he had the interceptions taken away from him in Washington last year. Dropped 2 more. Had one chance the Panthers game, but the dude kind of like hand kind of got in the way before he could get it. And then of course he had what literally would have been a pick six if he just looked the ball in.
Oh yeah.
Then
Speaking of which, we had that play, Desmond Ritter on a 4th and 4, where it was like a 6-yard hitch route. Jair, he drops a 2, right? Everyone and their left mother is trying to say like, "Oh, that would have been a pick 6." Did you not see Tyler Algier like?
Tyler
right
Algier was about to take his head off. Oh my God.
We've seen him literally come from behind and just punch out the ball as you're running full speed. Like he will like try to rip that ball right back out.
I think Tyler Algier had PTSD that day. He was like, "Oh, I'm back in my linebacker days finally." Like I think some people forget. I think some people forget he played linebacker for like 2 years at BYU, so he's not afraid to tackle anybody.
I was about to say that was probably a blessing in disguise that he dropped that interception because Tyler Algier was about to lift him.
He could have done that and then ripped the ball right out, and then we had possession again. Like that would have been a first down.
The thing about I don't like about that play was though that Tyler Algier literally was like wide open in the flat. And I understand you're trying to like get the first down, like you're trying to get past the sticks so you don't have to worry about somebody coming up. But when you have Quay Walker literally 10 yards distance from him and Jair is down like 7 yards down the field, dump it off and let Tyler Algier do his thing. Now he may have had that blunder on the screenplay against the Panthers that I probably won't forget for the rest of the season. But Tyler Algier, as we know, and as we've seen those last like 6-7 weeks, can take a ball out the backfield off a little dump route, off a swing route or something, make a guy or 2 miss or break a tackle. And now instead of having -2 yards, he got 5 or 6. Yep. Like I think that's what a lot of people underestimate about him is that he may not be the shiftiest dude, but he can still make a guy or 2 miss if he needs to, or kick into another gear to get an extra 4 or 5 yards like we needed right there.
And I mean, credit to Jair for that play too, because I think he recognized that. Like, I think that was the reason as to why he jumped the route in the first place was because, oh crap, I might have to cover both these guys. So, like, he just took a chance on making this cut in an effort to try to cover, like, get in a position to cover both. And then as he did that, it could have been a situation where it's like his body was there, but his mind was still trying to like do something else.
I think because if you think about it, I think that was a miscommunication between what the defense was supposed to be doing. Because I think 2 DBs went into man coverage and then the linebackers went in his own. But I think the linebackers it was like a cover one robber thing, kind of. Because one of the safeties dropped down. I think Quay Walker was supposed to go match up with Tyler Algier. He never does. He still has his eyes on Desmond Ritter. So Jair's like, oh, do I stay with Drake or do I try to go up there or like kind of like tiptoe a little bit, and if I get burnt, I just get burnt. But at that point, I can kind of be like, okay, Jair, like you made a play. You know, I see Tyler Algier down there. But then you still got to stay with your man. So it's like a 50-50 thing.
We think about that, and then we think about another throw. It was the 3rd and goal. That play action play
irritated me. Jesus.
It was almost like a situation where I think it was to Johnny, or it might have been to Pruitt.
It was to one of those two, because they were both in the vicinity.
I want to say it was Johnny, but I'm not 100% on it.
Johnny,
I seen an 80. I seen an 80, but every single one of our tight ends numbers start with an 8, so you can't really say, oh, that was Johnny. Well.
Yeah,
they all look the same. Other than Kyle Pitts, every single one of our tight ends literally look the exact same. So
that man just stands out no matter where he's at.
For real.
So you take those throws and you add them up. Desmond Ritter, 5 turnover-worthy plays in 2 games. Initial thoughts, because I'm going to continue.
I don't really like because you got to realize he's kind of still a rookie at this point because I mean and this is the first two
True.
games of the season. I think when you
So
look.
Trey,
To be
'cause
honest,
I'll let you continue, but I'll just make this quick
Nah,
one.
you're good.
um, like I think like Vlad saying, like this is still his rookie year. It's only his seventh start tomorrow. But like, I think some people don't understand that the dude literally only got to play 4 games last year, and they were all
Okay,
against good opponents.
here's the thing: 5 turnover-worthy plays in 2 games is the lowest amount of any quarterback this season.
You serious?
Now thoughts?
Well, actually, now that you think about it, now that you really think about it, like looking at everybody else, Josh Allen threw up like 7 prayers in the last 2 weeks. Just thank God he was going against the Raiders. Now the
I
Jets, okay, yeah, you expect those prayers to not get answered against the Jets. Um, the Raiders are probably going to end up going like 4-13 this year, so I'm not really expecting anything from them. Patrick Mahomes has looked just like he's
Weird.
on cloud 9, and oh, I got my rings. I don't really care anymore. I can go buy as much ketchup as I want.
got my rings,
Um,
got my payday. I'm good.
um, Jalen Hurts. I can't really say anything. Jalen Hurts is other. Okay, now the Thursday night football game, he kind of showed off. He showed off that game. Well, no, never mind. No, he didn't. He had one good play to Devontae on that weird looking vert route that the corner was just like,
Yo,
do I play
that had
underneath?
me.
Do I play deep? Like, what am I doing?
I was sitting there
Where
watching that, and that had me confused. I'm like, what's going on?
because like he's backing up like he's in cover 3 or man coverage, and then he starts slowing down like he's in cover 2 playing underneath, and then he just blows right past him. So he's like, what was I supposed to be doing? Justin Herbert has been Justin Herbert. Collapses in the fourth quarter all over again. Tua's been great. Hasn't had I think he's only had like 3 turnover worthy plays in the last 2 weeks. That's my boy, Alabama.
Well,
Bama.
I just said 5, and that would have been the lowest, but
Yeah,
he might have
some
like 6 then. Like
like
I
6.
don't
It's like
like
6 or 7.
it's not something like it has to be a drop pick or whatever, but it's just like, hey, could this play have gone bad?
Yeah, I get that.
You know,
Now,
That's
if
it.
you had,
especially against like a scrappy New England team. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
there's gonna be
I
some
mean
blunders.
no matter how bad New England may be, Bill Belichick is always going to make sure that defense is straight before the offense anytime. I don't think he's really even cared about the offense. He was, oh, we got Tom Brady, so I don't really need to care about that side for the last 19 years. But hey, like I said, you know, now I have a question for both of y'all. If out of all the top quarterbacks that you have that have either gotten paid in the last off season, like this off season, or the last 2 or 3 years, what quarterback do you think bounces back the quickest?
I mean, that's a good question.
Because Joe
Gotta remember
Burrow,
who gets. Gotta remember who got paid.
I don't really.
Like, yeah, he just got
Yeah,
his
Justin
extension at the
Herbert,
beginning of the season. Mahomes got his
Lamar
restructuring.
Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow all got paid this offseason.
Lamar is weird because he
Lamar's been
could
going
still
off. I'm not
play
gonna
good
lie.
enough, but it's like, can anyone else just please be on the field for the next week? They're dropping
Oh
like
yeah, they have
flies
had a
down
lot of
there.
injuries in the last 2 weeks. I'm just not
So
remembering
I
that.
don't know how it could be worse. Um, I would
Joe Burrow
say
just
maybe Jalen Hurts if he got paid. I feel like he did.
he got paid in like July. Yeah, he
Yeah,
like
so
well,
260
I would say
million.
he would
I,
only
I, w-
because he's got the best situation to go along with
I
him.
was literally about to say the same thing. I'd probably go with Hurts too because you look at their offensive line; they have the best offensive line right now in the game. Like
And then the
just
running game can just pop off from 180 a night whenever. It doesn't matter
exactly.
against who.
And then that defense, like I was saying earlier, the Jalen Carter, he's been smashing it all these last 2 games too. So that like Philadelphia is legit. Like they're good.
So, final score predictions. What are we thinking
Mm.
here?
Ah man.
Chat,
Um,
you guys
I'm
still
gonna let
here?
Vlad.
Right? Final score predictions.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Vlad go first.
Um, our ground game is going to do what our ground game does. I think we get 2 touchdowns off that alone. So I'd probably go 21 14, maybe 10,
I'll
something
take.
like that.
I'll take that. Um, if it was me, I've had a lot of these predictions in the last like 24 hours. It went from 28-17. I was like, no, we're not going to beat them that bad. So then I went to 21-17. And then after all the injuries came out and I knew who was going to be out, especially on defense, I have it being 34-23, actually. I think this is the game where Desmond Ritter in this passing game. I mean, we see what they could be in that third. Well, the 2 minute drive in the second quarter, and then most of that's third and fourth quarter. I think we see what they can become if they just get consistent at it, and they start off fast with it.
I think,
So I
yeah,
think I think we it's pretty balanced this week. I think Desmond ends up throwing for like 30 pass attempts a game. I think we're also going to run the ball like 40 times again. So um I think this game is going to end up, it's going to probably go into the fourth quarter like 21-21 or something, or like 24-21, something like that. Um, but yeah, I got, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to change it to 24. So I got the final score being 34-24. Nice.
yeah. I think
See,
if
I
had
was
a,
actually kind of going really close with J Diaz here. I think 27-14 is a good number. Just remember, guys, we don't allow points in the fourth quarter.
yeah,
True.
that's
And
it.
a lot of their points were in the fourth quarter. If we just shut them down like we do these previous two teams, dude, like we should just close the game and then just tack on points at the end just for kicks and
For
giggles.
fun.
I
So
think
I mean, I wouldn't mind saying a 28-14 just to have a little bit cleaner, but Koo, come on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it'll end up
Don't make me
being. I think Tyler will get a touchdown, a rushing touchdown. I think Bijan's going to get one.
I
I
think
think
Bijan's points going to be like 30, 40 yards. I think like instead of it being like 12, 15, I think it's going to be like that one big play to where they're like, oh,
yeah.
there's
I,
that speed we've been
I
looking for.
think Kyle Pitts will get one.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the game for Kyle Pitts to go for like
I
5, 7
I
catches, 90 to 100 yards and a
I was going
touchdown.
to say I think it'll be Bijan will get one or two. If he doesn't get two, then Tyler Algier will get the other one, and then it'll be a passing touchdown from Ritter to Pitts, and then I think Koo will get him a field goal. So it'll be like 24-14. I think it'll be
I
the end
think
the score.
I think Mac Hollins gets his back in blood, and I think he comes back and he's like, well, y'all
You know
took
he's
mine away
mad.
from me last week, so I'm
Yep.
going to go get one this week. And he seemed a little ticked off about that because I
Again,
still don't
we are
understand that.
just
I still
we're
don't
just
understand.
spoiled in
Yeah.
a sneaky way. We're spoiled on offense. Like if
Actually,
the only concern that you have on our offense is that this guy didn't get the ball, I think you're doing well for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. That like it
Like,
makes it hard for these teams to game plan against us because they don't know if they want to shut down one part of our offense. Okay, we got this over here. We got that part of our offense. It's just we can go so many places with it. It's just hard. It's hard to game plan against.
and the Lions corners are not strong at all. They're actually probably the weakest cornerback group in the league, like worse than the Chiefs and all of those guys. Like their corners are no names. And to be honest, this might be a game where Drake and Kyle combine for like 60% of Ritter's yards.
He
Because
might.
it's
They
just
might.
like you have no linebackers to guard Kyle. I mean, no linebackers guarding Kyle Pitts on the one, but literally you have no linebackers to guard Kyle Pitts, and there's no one on that Eagles secondary other than Saul. I mean, not Chauncey Gardner Johnson, or yeah, but he's hurt. So this
Shoot.
is really the game for
Like like
Drake and
like Nathan said right there in the chat, man. I hope Bijan goes off for 125 and 2
yeah,
touchdowns.
here's the
That
thing. I'm looking at that number and I'm like, really, that little?
Yeah.
It's like only 125.
The thing about it is with Bijan, I do think Bijan could potentially just go off, because if Bijan gets past that initial line of Detroit, and it's between Bijan and those linebackers, Bijan's going to the house. Because I don't think those linebackers do
everyone else covering the NFL, you're gonna learn. All right, like Big Ant said, the more you falcon around, the more you're gonna find out.
That's right.
So with that being said, hey, I'm not gonna deny that Lions are gonna show up with grit. All right, that's their place. We have to make it ours, though. So with that being said, appreciate you guys tuning in. We're gonna close it right now. Have our final thoughts. Final thoughts. Now that I have both of you here, because I don't know if we're gonna have you guys here for next Sunday or for next Saturday. Thoughts on the Toy Story game coming up in 8 days?
Oh, hey, no one asked for that at all.
There's a Toy Story game coming up.
Yes. So basically, I'm gonna make this short since we're ending it. The London game, ESPN has, I think it's on ESPN too. Instead of it being like actually like the real people, the real game, they're gonna make the game animated into Toy Story, and it'll be like little Toy Story players doing the things and lining up in like the formation.
We're not making this up.
That sounds like the definition of a gimmick if I've ever heard one.
It's worse than the Nickelodeon thing they did. I like now. I think people are just taking this a little too seriously because
this is the Disney Plus equivalent of putting mayonnaise in your coffee.
Basically, no one asked for this at all. No one was even thinking about this, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, we're gonna make the first London game a Toy Story animated game. Yeah, like no one.
Dude, I just want to know, like, how are they gonna do this live? How are they gonna like animate an injury if that happens? How are they going to animate like a scoring review play? How are they going to animate a coach being mad on the sideline because, how are they going to animate?
How are they going to animate Matt Ryan screaming,
getting
"Get
close"? How are they going to animate us like reaching for a first down? And again, we said this last week. If they don't use Slinky as the measuring stick for the chains, I will be so disappointed. Like, go all the way with this.
I'm not even watch that, man. I can't do it.
It's on Disney Plus. It's only you can only find it there. So it's just one of those things where I'm gonna have to wake up at like 6:30 in the morning, tune in to Disney Plus, catch a little glimmer of it, and then leave right away, bleach my eyeballs, watch the regular version. If we win, go back to the recording just to see how they handle everything, if they keep it on there for a little bit longer. And just that is actually like someone's fantasy football name, to infinity and beyond.
I've never wanted the cameras to pick up one of these players cursing before as much in my life as this game. As the game. How are they going to handle that?
Patterson.
Yeah,
you did it on Nickelodeon. Do it on Disney.
I love it when he did it on Nickelodeon because you think about like it's a bunch of 6 and 7-year-olds watching it. So like, oh my god, he just said a bad word. Like, no, you hear this every day on Fox. Like every scoring drive, every like.
Bijan reminds me a lot of Marshawn Lynch. He just doesn't give a damn where he's at. He's just gonna be him, Oh man, I used to love watching him run though.
Oh yeah. So with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in. All right, strap yourselves in. We're gonna have another tough game. So we've discussed it to our heart's content. Now let's go out there and fight.
Time to go hunt for a lion.
Hey,
all right.
Make sure to have fun and take care, y'all.
Later.
See ya.